Coming up, I'm going to teach you how to confront your micromanaging boss. And then in the news, there's some new restrictions across the pond on managers talking to people over the weekends. We'll talk about horrible bosses and take your calls, and it all starts right now. All right, folks, welcome to the Ken Coleman Show, helping you win at work and in life. And one of the ways we do that is talk about horrible leadership, because this is one of the great reasons why people aren't engaged in work, why they're miserable at work and thus they're confused, or maybe they're just bored at work and they decide to leave because they haven't been challenged. It all starts and finishes with leadership. And horrible leadership is affecting so many of you. And I'm a man of the people. I'm here for you. I fight every day for you. And today I'm going to teach you. Alex, I'm going to tell you this. This is super practical stuff. All right? I'm diving in right now. But I want to say this before I dive into these 5 tips. I don't know that I've been more excited about a super boring practical teaching like this. It's boring, but it's good because it's boring, because it's simple. And folks, micromanaging is a scourge. So just have some fun. You're watching, you're listening. I can't see your hands. Raise your hand wherever you're at. Come on. You're dealing with a micromanaging boss right now. I'm not raising my hand. I'm saying raise your hand. It's everywhere. Really? Okay. One of our team members walked by and raised his hand. This is a problem. Going to have to talk to HR. I'm kidding. He knows. Look, he's like, oh, geez, man, I walked right into that. Be careful what you do walking in front of the glass here at Ramsey Solutions. Okay. Before we dive into the 5 questions that will help you confront in a positive way a micromanaging boss, let's set up the psychology of what's going on. Because if you can have some compassion in the form of grace, these questions will be more effective. So here we go. Understand that these bosses who are micromanaging you, it's all about security for them. They don't feel secure. And I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong. What I'm saying is they are afraid. They don't feel secure. They're looking for security. So when they hover over you, they double, triple check your work. They over-explain. They never give you the baton, if you will. It's like they hand the baton and you grab it and it looks like this. They won't let go of it. Okay. I mean, they just won't let go. Why? Understand there's some fear here. So micromanaging bosses, as annoying as it is, they are looking for security. And the issue is fear. So these questions are designed to identify, watch this, and alleviate the fear. So here we go. How can I help you? Instead of getting irritated when they seem frenetic and they're hovering and goes, hey, how can I help you is a question that we ask separate of the micromanaging. Like they're doing this all the time. So I want you to be proactive. This first question isn't necessarily tied to a micromanaging instance or situation that you're dealing with. This is, you know what? They're a micromanager. They're freaking out over something. So now, instead of staying annoyed, I'm going to try to be helpful in a proactive way, which is ask the question, hey, listen, I noticed it seems like, don't ever accuse, say, it feels like, it seems like you're under a lot of pressure. What can I do to help? Now, if they say, oh, well, no, everything's okay, go, okay. But just know, it's okay. And I'm happy to help if I can help. Let me know how I can help. This is going to do 2 things. Number 1, it's going to shock them. It's going to shock the leader. They're not used to someone on the team stepping up and going, hey, I notice you're under pressure. I notice it feels like you're a little bit stressed out. How can I help you? It's going to shock them in a good way. Good shock. Like, what? And that then leads to the second thing that will happen. At least it is my hope. My hope is that it leads to the beginning of increase in trust that they have with you. Now, our listening audience can't see me do this, but I've got both of my hands out, and we're just kind of holding them fingertip to fingertip. Right hand and left hand are meeting in the middle of the fingertips. And here's what happens. As the right hand moves up, as trust increases, watch, fear decreases. That's what's happening here. And if fear is the root of their micromanaging, and I believe it is, then the more they trust you, the less they have fear that maybe you are going to let them down. So first question, how can I help you? Second question, hey, how can I improve? How can I improve? I'm not scared of this question. You're my leader. I'm asking because I want to be more efficient. I want to deliver more excellence. I want to be more valuable to you and the team. How can I improve? Again, going to shock them. The leader's mouth will open wide. Most people don't ask that question in a healthy way. So what's happening is you are realizing they've got some fear and trust issues. And folks, can I say this? This is an important point. If they are a true micromanager, you aren't the only one that's experiencing this. But I've got some bad news. If you talk to your teammates in a very respectful way and you see that your leader's not micromanaging them, Now we have an issue where this is isolated to you. Now, all of this still works, but they may not trust you for a certain reason. We've got to figure that out. You have to figure that out because, again, it's repairable. It is. But you got to figure out, what are they afraid of with you? And you've got to build trust. Now, but most of the time, the asterisk is they are a micromanager to everybody, and their fear is spread out over everybody. So remember, you can't take this personal. Unless you're the only one they micromanage, then it is personal. All right. So when you ask, how can I improve? Again, you are putting their fear for a moment at rest. And you're saying, how can I help you? Because they've got a fear that they're applying to everyone. How can I improve? And so they go, okay, well, I'm afraid that you're not this, and this. You go, okay, great. How do I prove to you that I am improving here so you trust me more? That's a wonderful conversation. Number 3, is there anything that I'm missing? Is there anything that I'm not aware of in this process? I've noticed the last couple of times that you've told me this, and this, and I feel like I'm missing something. Again, we're keeping this focused on you. Don't say it with a snarky attitude. Go, hey, I feel like I'm missing something. Make it very personal. I feel like I'm missing something here. What am I missing? Number 4, what would give you confidence that I can nail this? I want to make sure I earn your confidence. That's something that you should require of me. And I want to know, what can I do to make you more confident? It's another way of positioning this. Again, make it about yourself. Be careful how you say this. You say, hey, I want to give you confidence in myself. And then finally, if things just aren't working, you got to sit down and go, hey, there's just no trust here. Is there anything we can do? Anything. I'm willing to do it because I want to be here and I want to win. This is how you confront this issue of their fear. And if it doesn't work, then it's time to move on. Don't move. In the news coming up. According to Glassdoor, the average job offer attracts over 250 applicants. So if you've made it to the interview, you've already made a great impression. So now is your time to showcase how you are the best choice for this role. That's why we created How to Win the Interview. This free guide will walk you through the 5 strategies to help you stand out amongst the competition. With just a little intentionality, you can prepare yourself to win the interview. To get it, go to kencoleman.com/interview. All right, folks, welcome back to the Ken Coleman Show, helping you win at work so that you're winning in life. We're talking about more money. I want you making more money, but I also want you experiencing more meaning. Money and meaning, income and impact. That's what we're helping you grow in here on the Ken Coleman Show. And we do that many ways. And one of the ways is I'm keeping you up to speed on what's going on in the world. You're running fast and furious, busy, busy, busy. You're already seeing a bunch of news about politics and world affairs. Well, what about the news that's affecting you and you pursuing your dreams? It's my job to stay on top of that. Let's go. It's time for In the News. All right, this is a very interesting trend coming out of Europe. This is from Forbes magazine. Let me set the context. We all understand this, but it's important to review. Obviously, the pandemic, when everybody went home to work, many people stayed at home, are going to stay at home, whether it's full-time remote or a hybrid model where they're spending some time at home, some time in the office. But here's what's happened. Yes, the commutes have shortened, but we've seen multiple studies where the amount of hours that people are working has increased. So working at home, it's so much better for your life on one hand, but people are having a harder time shutting off the work. Because now you're not leaving the office to catch a train or to beat the traffic. Now you're always in the office, essentially. You're 10 feet away from the office. And so people are having a hard time pulling themselves away. Well, as a result of this, the onslaught of Slack, these messaging softwares that allow people to stay connected all the time. Email has always been a culprit. I despise email with a deep, abiding passion because people feel so much tyranny and stress to answer an email all the time. And nobody thinks about how much it's piling on. We just fire an email, doesn't hurt us, and it creates stress for everybody else. That's a whole nother segment. I won't divulge deeper into my deep hatred of email. Have I been clear enough? I think so. All right. So it's made people more connected than ever. Thus, the stress level, not being able to disconnect, to unplug, is what the pandemic made even worse. It was already a problem. All right. So, Belgium. The federal government of Belgium has announced that their federal civil servants will no longer have to answer calls or emails from their leaders outside of working hours. Now, this is 65,000 government workers, and they're calling this the right to disconnect. Kind of catchy. I don't know if that's a right. I'm a purist, so I don't know if that's a right that we all have. I think it's a discipline. I think it's something you ought to do. So sure, let's call it a right. I don't know if it's that high, but I'll tell you what I like about that language. It's essentially through government regulation and their policy to say, look, you're not going to be allowed to do it. There are consequences if you're doing this all the time. It is, in effect, a permission to disconnect. And this will never happen in private corporations. Widespread. I think some will say it, but can I just tell you, I think it's a good idea. I think private corporations ought to do the same thing. I think they ought to say, you know what, leaders, the responsibility and the burden is on you to communicate better. I like this. I think American corporations ought to do the same thing. I think if you're running a small business right now, leader, you ought to tinker with the idea of what does this look like? To say to your leaders, we have a company policy. Unless it's an emergency, unless it's an extreme circumstance, guidelines being this, and this, you're not supposed to call people or email people over the weekend. I like it. Because I got news for you. I'm already operating under this policy. Alex, Joe, Amanda, Nathan, I've worked with Joe longer than anybody. Joe, tell the good audience how many times you've got an email or phone call from me that was work-related on an evening or on a weekend, Joe. Be honest. Think really hard, Joe.
0.
Just saying. And Joe and I have been doing a daily show together for 7 years. That's how long we've been together. We had a brief interruption for 2 or 3 years. I'm just telling you, Alex, you've been here how long now? 6 months, 5 months? How many times have you gotten an email or a phone call from me on a weeknight? 0. I'm not, no, don't misunderstand what I'm doing. I'm not patting myself on the back. I really am not. I know it sounds that way. I'm a little puffed up right now, but I'm puffed up in making a point to say it's possible. Alex and I have a very detailed rhythm of communication every day. We have deadlines. We're doing it. I think it's a crutch. I think it's leadership laziness. Oh, Alex, I didn't plan to say that, but I think it's really good. I'm going to say it. I think calling people at night, emailing them at night, all hours of the morning is leadership laziness. It's selfishness. It's all about you in that moment. Alex has got a life. He's got teenagers. So do I. He's got a wife. I could talk to him about it in the morning. I could text him early. I've done that before. You know, I'm getting ready in the morning. I got a quick thought about the day. I'll shoot a quick text. I'm okay with that because now we're thinking about work. We're engaged. We're going that way. Listen, this is leadership selfishness and leadership laziness. The nonstop calling your people after hours, emailing them all the time. You know what you're doing? You're just piling it on. Just, here we go. I'm going to slap some more stuff on you to worry about. And I'm not even thinking about the fact that you got a family life. Because it's so freaking important that I email you tonight. Now, I'm done with my rant, but let's get practical for a moment. How much better would our corporate communication be? How much more efficient would leaders be in their meetings and in their communication style if they didn't rely on the onslaught of emails and phone calls? Can I get an amen? I hear them all across the country right now. I can hear them faintly. So, Belgium says, you know what? We're not going to allow it. Then now I will tell you that they have said there are some extenuating circumstances by which it will be fine. And again, this is common sense approach to leadership. I applaud the Belgian government on this. By the way, they are one of the countries that is looking at initiating a 4-day work week. So again, we're seeing this happen in Europe. I thought it was interesting. We had our ZipRecruiter economist on, and I asked point blank, where do you think the 4-day work week is going? And the response was, I don't think it's happening anytime soon. And I said the same thing. I just don't know that the American rhythm of business and leadership, I just don't know they're going to embrace that. And largely because I don't know that they need to with all the remote work anyway. I think remote work is here to stay. And I think the way we work is going to continue to change overnight. All right, I want to try something really quick because I have just a moment. To our YouTube audience. So we got listeners on SiriusXM and talk radio, and then our podcast audience listens later. If you're watching live on YouTube, which is a small portion, of course, everybody's watching later these days. YouTube chat room, are you paying attention? If you would like to be free of the onslaught of sending and receiving emails, and the pressure on nights and weekends on emails and even the occasional phone call, give me a thumbs up. Let's just see. I just want to take it to the people. I'm a man of the people. If the people disagree with me, I don't have any problem telling them they're wrong. But I want to know what you think. Thumbs up in the chat room if you're tired of all of the email pressure. Oh, the tyranny of the urgent. We got a thumbs up out in the lobby. We got some shaking heads. We got the whole 9 yards is happening. All right. Don't go anywhere. Coming up next, we got a fresh new horrible boss story coming out of the White House.
Do you know what you were born to do? In order to get hired at a job you love, you need to get clear on your talent, passion, and mission. That's why our team created the Career Clarity Guide. In just a few minutes, this free tool will walk you through a process to discover what you do best, talent, the work you love to do, passion, and the results you want your work to produce. That's mission. Then you're going to feel way more confident throughout the job search process. To get started, go now to kencoleman.com/clarity.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Ken Coleman Show, helping you win at work and at life, helping you make more money and experiencing more meaning. I don't know if you've caught the buzz yet, but I've been talking about the buzz. I've been talking about Phil. A lot of buzz on the internet, social media about Phil from ZipRecruiter. A lot of thank you, Phils. This guy Phil's pretty popular. Anthony P. said, Phil sent me jobs I was a great match for, so I just knew something good was going to happen. Well, that Phil sounds like somebody you want in your corner working for you, especially to get that job you long for. So what job will Phil help you discover? Find out at ZipRecruiter.com. ZipRecruiter.com. Go get some help from Phil. All right. Quick jump back into the YouTube chat room. Getting lots of thumbs up. People are sick of the email. People are sick of feeling like they're tethered to the work. Come on, leaders, wake up. Tony Ocean said, I absolutely agree. I got the 100. Had a boss that would text his management team at 3 a.m. When confronted about it, he responded, well, just turn off notifications at night. That's not possible, you dolt. I had a driving teenager. Now, to be fair to Tony, I added the dolt in there. Felt right. Tony did not call him adult, but I know that probably felt that way. So, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is bonus horrible boss right here. Bonus. His response. Look, I'm sending the text at 3 a.m. because I'm your supreme leader. Turn your notifications off. Hey, you idiot, I've got a driving teenager. I need notifications. And when you send me your text, your selfish, lazy text, I wake up with stress, you moron. Isn't that what you want to say to these leaders? Let's get into it. I can't wait any longer. It's time for horrible bosses. I'm telling you, folks, Alex, this is going to make your stomach turn, but I foresee a day in the future where I get a tip from somebody about a boss that's done this, and I'm going old school, like shock jock radio. I want to get this clown on the phone. Like I get through to the assistant, and he answers the phone. Yeah, this is Harold with IBC Enterprises. Hey, Harold. Hey, listen, from what I understand, you're texting your team at 3 a.m. in the morning. Is this true? How do you know that? It doesn't matter, Harold. Answer the question. You're live on the air. Wouldn't it be great? Just dress this guy down. Hey, Harold, you're an idiot. Here's what you're doing. I'm doing you a favor, Harold. And Harold, I'm paying attention. If you go after your team or you fire any of them, I'm going to take you to task. That would be really fun. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but that would involve a cape and a mask and I'm sure many more things. But leaders, listen, you need to pay attention to what you're doing. You stop bugging people at night and on the weekends. Let them live their life. I'm telling you, they're going to leave you if you don't. Okay, here we go. Horrible boss story from the White House. The Biden White House. Politico. And by the way, whenever I say anything that involves anybody in politics, people get their panties in a bunch. So let me go ahead and try to address this. This is not a political story. This is a horrible boss story. And this is from Politico, which is not a right-wing leaning publication. So there you go. I'm not attacking the right or the left. I'm just calling out horrible leadership. President Joe Biden's top science advisor, Eric Lander, resigned on Monday evening after reports started circulating of his bullying. Now, quick pause, because I am a man of the people and I'm going to call out horrible leadership on your behalf. I'm going to shine the light on it and teach you how to deal with it. But let me also just say, we've gotten to a place in our society in 2022 where we throw the word bullying around a little too loosely. Okay? I'll jump back into that. Is it bullying or is it just poor leadership? Is it a personality thing? Was it a moment of weakness or is it bullying? Oh, let me just say this. Somebody being rude or abrupt, a little too intense, this is not bullying. This is a bad decision and they didn't guard their emotions correctly. That doesn't make him a bully. A bully is intentionally intimidating, intentionally humiliating, on purpose. All right. So Politico was the first to report that the White House had launched a 2-month investigation into Lander's leadership activity. They found credible evidence that he bullied his then general counsel, Rachel Wallace. Now, again, the article doesn't detail out what bullying means here, but more. In addition, 14 current and former staffers shared descriptions of a toxic work environment under Lander, where they say Lander frequently bullied subordinates. Several shared specific accusations that he belittled and demeaned women subordinates in particular. Now, this gets to what I would call an accurate description of bullying. So multiple women are saying he constantly belittled and demeaned them. Now, that's bullying. And if the dude has a problem with women, well, then he's not only a horrible leader, he's a weak, pathetic man. This is just a fact. So this is an example of, horrible bosses. All right, so let's unpack this. This is assuming, now he's gone. He resigned. But just because he resigned doesn't mean we have all the evidence that, in fact, he bullied. But according to the reports, 14 people said there was a pattern of belittling, demeaning, dismissing women. That I would call a form of bullying. Why? Because is that an attempt to intimidate, to manipulate, to humiliate? And I think the answer is yes. All right. So this is really bullying. So what's going on with this guy? Can it be redeemed? Did he see this modeled before for women? Does he have some pain and resentment towards women in general? I mean, is he a sexist? I mean, I don't know. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because when there is a real case of bullying going on, I wanted to stipulate the difference between, I think you can confront a micromanager in the ways that we led the show with. I think there's redemption there. I think that can be restored if the leader is at least mildly healthy or is seeking to be healthy. Bullying is a whole nother level here. We've got some, and I'm going to be honest here. It's a form of sickness, of pain, of infection. Now stay with me. Micromanaging is fear-based, and so is bullying. But the difference is micromanaging is not as advanced enough of a sickness to just say, I'm completely out until I at least confront it. Bullying, you stand up to bullies, but if it's your actual leader and they're so unhealthy, and that's what's going on, it is something is infected inside of them. I want you to understand this. They're hurting so badly, and they don't know how to cope with it. They aren't seeing anybody to get help. They don't currently have the tools or the desire to get better. So it's the same as me having an infection on my body somewhere. Let's say I have an open sore on my arm and it gets infected, and I'm like, it hurts, it stinks, it's oozing, it's affecting other people when they see it. I know, Amanda, but I had to make the point. Poor Amanda, I grossed out. But this is the deal. A bullying leader is oozing pain. I'm just telling you, they are. And in that situation, they have to get help. It's infection and they're sick. Yes, you confront it, but in this way. I'm not going to allow you to treat me this way. I'm documenting this. I'm recording these instances. If this doesn't stop immediately, I'm out. You stand up for yourself and you do whatever you got to do. Big difference. It's one and done when it comes to bullying, in my opinion. So be emboldened. You can move on, and you might have to. All right. Coming up next, we're going to get to your calls and so much more. This is the Ken Coleman Show.
You were created to fill a unique role in and through your work. Now, some of you may be going, I have no idea what that is. Some of you may be saying, I know what I want to do, but I don't know how to get there. I felt all of those emotions. I've been where you are, and I can tell you, there's hope. That's why I wrote the book, From Paycheck to Purpose. You can make the income you want and the impact that you desire. And I know that you have what it takes.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Ken Coleman Show. Thrilled to have you with us. Full disclosure, it's freezing in the studio today for some reason. My hands and fingers are literally cold right now. So if during the next call I have to blow on my hands, just understand, folks, it's not all as cushy as it seems in here. So, hey, folks, they have to keep it cold. We got tens of thousands of dollars of equipment and all this kind of stuff. So, Amanda, I might have to start wearing a Snuggie below the table and nobody can see it. And then during commercial breaks, I'm under here, kind of nobody will ever see it. They'll never know.
We'll get you a space heater.
It would really? A space heater? I think it would make too much noise. And then watch me gripe about sweating. I'm impossible, folks. I need medication is what it boils down to. No, I kid. All right, let's go to the phones. Dayton, Ohio. Brian joins us. Brian, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for taking my call today. I'm a new listener, but a big fan already.
Well, thank you, Brian. How can I help you today?
I came across your show last week. I just happened to come across the one that you did on jobs where you make $100,000 without a degree.
Yeah.
And I've been struggling, for a few years, just feeling like I was stuck because, I'm a physical therapist and, I just feel like I was stuck with my education and not really knowing where to go. And of course, the last 2 years with COVID, healthcare has changed drastically because of that, and just feeling a lot of burnout, but not really sure where to go and what to do next.
Yeah. What, I think we got to get to the source of the burnout. That's as important as direction. What do you identify as the source of burnout for you?
I think just unrealistic expectations, just productivity requirements. And
is that the amount of hours you're working?
Recently it's been a lot of hours and just grinding all day long, not really a lot of downtime.
So it's hours plus the amount of patients they want you to see and therapy they want you to do. So they've just turned the ratchet up, tightened it.
Yeah, I mean, with insurance, basically the insurance industry runs healthcare. It's not driven by physicians and therapists and nurses.
Yeah, of course not.
The way it was when I got out.
Right.
It's a whole different beast now.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you this: if we were to remove those sources of you feeling just overwhelmed, am I getting it right? Is overwhelmed the emotion? I'm trying to really narrow this down so I understand what you're really feeling, because that's important. Is it just overwhelmed and that's making you exhausted mentally and emotionally, physically?
I think that's probably a good choice of words. Absolutely.
Okay, great. All right. So if we were to remove that, the circumstances, and then the byproduct, the mental and emotional and physical draining, which has all kinds of symptoms. If we were to remove all that, would you be calling me right now? Asking about, Ken, what direction do I go? What is something new that I can do? What should I be doing? Would you be calling me?
Probably, because like I said, even before COVID, I was just at a place where I just was really struggling, and I've always felt a call, to do
what?
Something more. Well, actually, I've really desired years ago. My desire was always to do full-time ministry at some point, and obviously, over the years, I've come to learn that that's not always just standing on a stage with a microphone.
That's right.
But it encompasses so much more.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered what the thread is between ministry and physical therapy?
Well, it's service, to help others, to serve others.
Bingo. You just nailed it in one sentence. It's serving people.
Right.
In one hand, you are serving their souls and their emotions, right? People wrestling with faith, decisions they've made. that's a soul thing. That's an emotion thing. And the other, you're serving their bodies, but also their emotions. When they're struggling physically, that affects them. I find that to be fascinating. You know what I think? I think you're doing the right kind of thing in the wrong place. I don't think it has to be any more physical focus, but I think it's serving people. And I think that's your answer. And I think you get to open up the whole world to that. Could be ministry,
Right.
Could be counseling, could be a guidance counselor, and it could be a coach. It could be, you see what I'm saying? I want over the next couple days for you to let your mind wonder, what are all the professions and occupations that would allow me to serve people? And here's the question you focus on after that. Who are the people I most would love to serve? And I think the ministry is the answer, and that's the direction, and you got to go. Check it out. This is the Ken Coleman Show. Are you wondering if you should leave your current job or stay put? Well, you're not alone. That's why we created the Should I Quit My Job quiz. In just 5 minutes or less, this quiz will help you determine if you're at the right company and if you're in the right role. And if you need to make a move, you'll get practical steps to keep you moving forward. Folks, it's time to get unstuck. Life is too short not to do what you were created to do. Go take the quiz right now at kencoleman.com/quiz. Welcome back, folks. This is the Ken Coleman Show, helping you make more money and experience more meaning, all in the same gig. Income and impact. We're going to help you grow both. 844-747-2577. If you've got a question, you can jump in at any time. That's the phone number, 844-747-2577. Now, how many of you that are thinking about something new have considered project management just as a career path? Project management. For those of you that love details, processes, organization, working with people, being somebody that people rely on, I think you need to consider it because it's one of the fastest growing skill sets and industries, if you will, a type of profession in the world. By 2027, economists are expecting this field to grow by 33%. And that's why we are so excited at Ramsey Solutions to announce we've opened up our first ever project management course. We're calling it Project Management 101. I will be teaching alongside our Ramsey Chief Technology Officer, Brendan Wojko, who happens to lead and hire all of our project managers at Ramsey Solutions. The spots are limited. We did a free webinar a couple months ago, and it went bananas. So we're expecting the course to fill up quickly because spots are limited. Don't wait. If you want to apply for this course, it's going to qualify you to get project management jobs right away. Go to RamseySolutions.com/project. That's RamseySolutions.com/project. All right, back to the phones we go. Derby, Connecticut is where Cass joins us. Cass, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. How are you doing today?
I'm living the dream, Cass. What are you doing?
Basically living my best days as I can.
Come on. I like it. How can I help you today?
I had a situation where a offer for a job was positioned to me. I tried the job, and it was not what the job was proposed to be at all, and it wasn't a professional environment.
Uh-oh.
So I was wondering if there was a better way to be able to handle it other than the way that I did.
What did you do?
I tried speaking with my manager. I was like, listen, I'm still new to the job. I really want to be able to help you, but there needs to be more communication and more training. I'm trying my best. Can we get something in writing? You know, I understand that you're busy, but I still need the time for this training to make sure that the job is being done the way that you need it to be done. And she just wasn't really willing to help me with that. So she kind of stuck me into a corner, and I told her that I had other positions available that, you know, I'm trying my best to help, but if she's not willing to communicate with me or be able to get me the training that I need, that it's not going to work out for either of us.
Yeah. So what do you mean she stuck you in the corner after you brought this up? What does that mean?
She immediately left for a personal emergency in another state, and I don't have any sort of business management skills. I haven't had to be in that situation before, and I didn't know a lot about the business that she was in, so I was still learning. It was within my first week.
Have you already left this company?
Oh, yeah. I have.
Oh.
I put it as politely as possible that I quit without notice, but it was getting to the point where she was being rude, unprofessional, and I was communicating with her as much as possible, but she wasn't willing to communicate with me.
Yeah, she didn't hit the ball back over the net.
Right.
Yeah, so, okay. I was wondering where we stood on this. You're asking, did I handle it the right way?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why do you feel like you have to give? I mean, is it because you didn't give notice, or you feel like did you not handle the interaction and the way you tried to say, hey, I want to make this work. I need this, and this. Help me. I need some training. This is not what the job description was when I interviewed. I mean, did you ask lots of questions in the interview about the job itself and what a day-to-day looked like?
I did, and one of the things was I overlooked a lot of red flags when it came to this position.
Okay.
Because it was more in line with what my passions were, and I was willing to give it a shot if it was going to be more in line with what I was passionate about doing.
Okay.
But
so here's the
deal. It didn't seem like that was it.
Okay, so you ignored some things in the job interview, and this is not to beat up on you, but I don't think you overthink this other than that. You had red flags. You didn't listen to them, and now you know that that's a bad move going forward. Trust your red flags. That's all. I think that we actually turned this into a positive. You didn't let it go too long. I actually am proud of you. You confronted the leader. It sounds like in a respectful way. That to me is check number one. Way to go. You stayed with it. She didn't respond. She didn't reciprocate. She was rude. You stayed with it. You kept pursuing. You gave it another try. Check. And once it gets to the point where it's obvious the leader has zero desire or zero capacity, whether that's what's going on in her life or whatever, I'm not trying to make her a bad person. Remember, bad leaders aren't necessarily bad people. I want to point this out. And I feel like you handled yourself like a pro. Check, check, check. And I don't think that leaving without notice is bad. Check. I'm fine with that. If you get treated that way, why do you owe them 2 more weeks of putting up with their horrible bossery? I just made up a term. I mean, why? Why would you need to do that? You don't owe her anything other than what you gave her. You were a woman of integrity. You were a woman of character. You were a mature woman. I mean, I thought you did everything right, other than you didn't ask enough questions. When those red flags pop up in the interview, that automatically means more questions from you. Follow-up questions. Dig deeper. Trust your flags. You didn't do it, but that's not it's not a career killer. In fact, you're more equipped now going forward. That's what I think.
I think so too.
Yeah, good on you. Now, are you looking for something else? Are you in the process, or have you already found something?
My previous employer that I left the position for took me back with a raise because she really did appreciate the work that I did for her, but she also understands that I have an interview today that's with a position a little bit closer to me. So.
Well, and I will tell you, while that's important to your personal life, I don't want you to miss out on the fact that you do know what your passion is and you were trying to go for it. So don't let this discourage you. Okay? Keep going. I want you to step into that sweet spot at some point in the near future. And now you know what the right culture and the right leadership looks like, or what it should look like. And that's on you in the interview process. It's on you to do research while you're considering this next job. Talking to people that work there. You got to have some friend, some family member, some acquaintance that knows somebody over at this new company you're looking at. Talk to them. Not just disgruntled people, because that's not good feedback either. People that are happy over there, that like it, get a real read on what the leadership is like. You know, look at what customer reviews are, what do vendors say about it. You can figure out what a culture's like. Because one of the most confusing things, Cass, and I'm really talking to the rest of our audience, not just you, folks, one of the most confusing, disheartening things that can happen to you
is when you step into a job that is in your sweet spot. As I define it, you are using what you do best, talent, to do work you love, passion, to produce results that matter deeply to you, mission. But if you're doing that in a bad culture, you don't want to go in. And so it's confusing. You're going, oh, my heart gets excited about the work. My heart gets excited when I'm engaged in the work, but I don't want to go to work. What's going on? It's very confusing. And folks, let me define that for you. That simply means you're doing the right thing in the wrong place. Now, let's just catch that. I got teachers that are calling me. I got teachers that are reaching out to me on Instagram. Ken, I'm burned out. I'm leaving. And I'm fighting for you. We're going to be working on this. We're taking this on. But they get confused. Am I not supposed to teach anymore? No. But you're not supposed to teach in that environment. That's what I mean by right thing, wrong place. And so, Cass, I don't want that for you. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
You bet, Cass. Your best is yet to come. I appreciate the call. She's awesome. I love that. She handled that like an absolute adult. A healthy adult, I might add. Way to go, Cass. Folks, there's nothing wrong with giving it a good old, mature, adult, classy attempt to confront. And if the leader doesn't respond, there's your sign. It's time to go. Speaking of time to go, for our listening audience, I got to get out of here. For our viewing audience, stay tuned. More calls coming up. This is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.
Thanks for listening to the Ken Coleman Show. For more, you can find the show on demand wherever you listen to podcasts and watch the show on YouTube. You can also find Ken across all social media by following @Ken Coleman.
All right, welcome back to our viewing audience. Gary Spratt, who's watching live right now in the chat room, he enjoyed my new phrase, horrible bossery. It's like you could say horrible bosses, but the act of being a horrible boss is horrible bossery. I like making up words. Everybody knows exactly what it means. Feel free to use it. Also, Marcelita, I want to address something that she said quickly, and then back to the phones. Marcelita says, I love project management. I was talking about the new project management course from our Ramsey Career Academy here at Ramsey Solutions. And she goes, I love project management, but I what holds me back is I don't want to work on the weekends. They work so much on the weekends, especially in tech, Marcelita. Don't assume that. You need to look around. Don't assume that all project managers in the technology field are having to work weekends. Let's go get some evidence of this stuff. And I encourage you, Marcelita, I'm not picking on you. So many times our past experiences or our perceptions of things hold us back because it creates a narrative that we believe is true. Your kids truly believe that it's possible there's a monster under the bed. For a certain amount of time in their life, they're convinced there could be a monster under the bed or in the closet. Why? That's their perception. That's their fear. And we have to step into stuff like this. So please look into that. Let's get back to the phones. Gresham, Oregon is where Brandon joins us. Brandon, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken, how you doing?
I'm living the dream, Brandon. What are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm on my way, hopefully, to living the dream.
Attaboy. Yeah. All right, what's up?
Yeah, so I guess my question is about how to jump back into full-time work once I've taken a little break from full-time work for school. I just graduated from seminary, got my master's degree.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'm looking to get back into full-time ministry. And I'm curious if you have any advice about how I should go about making that happen.
Well, I love that you asked the question the first time, how do I jump back in?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to, because you're a seminary guy and you're going to go into ministry, I'm going to answer this with metaphors because I'm a preacher's kid. You ready?
Oh, I love it.
I'm going to see if you get what I'm saying using metaphors. I think there's the cannonball approach. I think there's the Nestea plunge version, which is very popular for people my age. There's a lot of people in their 20s. I just said Nestea plunge, and they're going, what's he talking about? How do you spell that? Nathan has no idea. Nestea, Nathan, was a brand of tea, and in their commercials, the tea was so refreshing that the person would take a sip of the tea, and life was so good, they would just fall backwards into the pool. And so thus, children of the 80s, we would do the Nestea plunge in the pool. You know what I'm saying? See? Aren't you happy I share things like this? So you're probably not even aware of the Nestea plunge, right, Brandon?
Not really, no.
Now you are. Now you are.
Might be before my time, yeah.
So stay with me on the metaphor. That's why I explained it. I knew Brandon didn't know. All right? So we've got the cannonball. We got the Nestea plunge. We got the traditional dive, right? Kind of leaning in, getting the feet up and going in this way. What else am I missing? What other ways are there to jump in the pool? I mean, there's the crazy 360. The belly flop. I don't want you to do the belly flop. All right, so all the others I'm fine with. Now, do you see where I'm going? Is this making any sense to you? If not, say it's not making sense, and I'll unpack it some more.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's making a little bit of sense, but
here's my
I think
point.
I need more explanation.
Yeah, here's my point. You're overthinking it. How do you jump back in? How do you dive back in after being in seminary? The answer is you pick. But the point is, I don't care how you enter the pool. All of those metaphors, they shared one common description. You jumped in all the way, fully. I don't care if you go in on your back, if you go in cannonball style and make a big splash. I don't care. Get in the pool. So what I'm basically saying, I'm having probably too much fun with this, but I'm saying you're overthinking it. Go. Get in full time. Get in full time on the right ladder, meaning you went to seminary for a reason.
Yeah.
What was the reason? What's the end result for you? It's okay to dream in ministry work just as it is in any other work. What's the dream gig for you in ministry?
Oh, teaching pastor, 100%.
Okay, then. So you need to jump into a church that either A, is smaller and maybe doesn't want as much experience because you're fresh out of seminary, and they will let you be a teaching pastor right now. But then we got to look at what can they pay you. You're probably going to wear about 4 or 5 other hats. I'm thinking, Alex, you come from the church world. Smaller church, teaching pastor, that's probably a senior pastor, right? So then we got your mid-sized church. So, or do we get into a larger church where you can get in as maybe a singles pastor, couples pastor, youth pastor? I mean, I come from this world. You know this world. What is going to be the best ladder and the best experience for you to do what you want to do long term? That's the only thing you need to be considering. Other than that, jump all the way in. So what do you need to make financially? I'm going to walk you through the rest of this. What do you need to make?
I think I need to make between 40 and 50 in my neck of the woods.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So here's what I want you to do. I want you to write 40 to 50,000 down on a piece of paper or on a whiteboard or on your mirror, and you go 40 to 50,000 is the target. It's not the end. It's the beginning target. All right?
Yeah.
Now, how important is it that you're teaching a bunch versus teaching a little right out of the gate?
Right out of the gate, probably teaching a little.
Okay, then
growing,
perfect. So you know what that means? That's going to allow you to work in a bigger church where they're going to give you a little bit of experience. You're going to get cuts at the plate, but you're also going to be able to pay the bills.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my point. That's all you're thinking about. Is this a church that I see myself at long term, because they do promote their younger pastors up the ladder over time?
Mm-hmm.
There's denominational stuff. There's theological stuff. I don't have to tell you all that. So all that, though, goes into, if I eventually want to be a full-time teaching pastor where I'm teaching 3 out of 4 Sundays or whatever it looks like, what's the best path to get there? And I'm looking at experience and location. And I also have to consider the financial. Other than that, don't think about it. Jump in.
Cool.
Make sense now?
Awesome. Yeah.
Don't overthink this.
That's a curse of mine for sure.
Yeah, and I felt that, and I understand that too. I do that. Here's the deal.
Yeah.
You need experience. You need experience in a safe environment that there's no pressure on you. and you can fully devote yourself to ministry and beginning to develop preaching skills and all of that without the pressure of providing for yourself, without the pressure of working 2 or 3 jobs, that would be my detailed suggestion on what kind of a place you want to start in.
Yeah.
And oh, you know what else I didn't mention? Under a really good teaching pastor.
Yeah.
You don't underestimate hearing that pastor teach 4 times a week. That's good too. A good teaching pastor, a good leadership culture to where you can just learn and grow. So you can just learn and grow. All right? So appreciate the call. You got this. I love it, love it, love it. Hey, for our viewing audience, thanks for staying with us in our bonus segment. Thank you all so very much. I love you, love you, love you. You matter. You have what it takes. Press on.